everyone. As you see, this is the first decentralized television in crypto space. It's a successful one, and our today guest is distinguished people as usual. And now I see the Chief Marketing Officer of Prasaga project, Jay Moore. Jay, I would like to begin the phrase. It's a quote from the side of the CEO of the platform, and it's about the following. Your phone, your computer, and your smartwatch all have operating systems that make it easy to develop for and use. That's good, but the blockchain is hard. We need the blockchain to be easy to use, easy to develop for. Now it is. XBoom is the operating system for the blockchain, and XBoom makes it easy to develop for and to use the data grid of the blockchain. But before you answer this interesting or to comment this, I would like to start information from you personally. How do you do in this blockchain industry? How do you become in this interesting and really awesome space? The stage is yours. Go ahead, Jay. It's nice to meet you here.
Great to meet you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, well, you can see from all the toys behind me, I've been in the entertainment industry primarily for the last 25 years. Although I've done 12 different startups. I've been through everything from my own computer company to an ISP that we built, and a theme restaurant. So I've done a franchising organization. So I've tackled a lot of things. Probably the thing that got me the most excited is when we made available a AAA game engine when it cost $1 million to make a game. And at that time, we were able to actually coin the phrase indie games and indie developers. And now, obviously, that's a part of our life that is gone on beyond that. But the key was to get the tools that were needed to be successful into the hands of the developers. I always like to also tell the part of the story where I was there when David Helgeson first demonstrated the Unity game engine, and they mastered ease of use. We were still like 500,000 lines of source code, and if you didn't program at the at the ground level, you probably weren't going to be able to get your hands around the game engine. They made it easy. You could drag and drop stuff. We sold for around 70 million. I think their current market cap is over 32 billion. So easy use, pretty important. And actually that's ties into what you just talked about with making the blockchain easy. We see, there's a lot of things going on that make blockchain a challenge right now. And I'll touch on some of those points as to how we have built the foundation for ours. But we really see the biggest deterrent in terms of applications is how hard it is to get blockchain applications built. And to the point where if you have a complex application, it just isn't even really a tool of choice at this point. And that's where we really needed to break through that piece. So that's kind of I'll tell a little more about how we got started on all this with Prasaga. But if you want, I can just kind of go through the standard slides that kind of walk us through some of that conversation.
Yes, please. But let me add something. I'm personally getting inspired of this new kind of financial world starting from 2009, 2010 by the, you have to remember the best movie, it's documentary movie the name is The Zeitgeist Movement by the Peter Joseph. And it looks like the point to think about what's happening in the world, but looks like nowadays, blockchain can solve all the problems about, and I'm sure that we are on the right way. And looks like Prasaga have that kind of instruments within it. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's an interesting story of how we got here, because I think we were literally looking at the blockchain as the tool that we needed to be able to make a decentralized data marketplace available, and we're focused on making all all the smart devices and smart cities interoperable. And that was our core. It's still something that's part of our project, but is taking kind of a back seat as we got to the point where we had this full message server. We'd had it go through all of the different test beds and proof of concepts, and it was fully scaling and working. And the challenge was we needed a good way for those that own the data to be able to transact and sell it to the people that need to analyze and use the data. Well, the blockchain is perfect for that in the sense that it not only gives us the permissions and the ability to do the commerce, but it allows us to do it at a microtransaction level that, you know, if you've got small bits of sensor data coming off of your smart home or your smart factory, let's say, all of that can be brought to bear in a database that's driven by, you know, blockchain transactions. What we didn't realize, because everybody was promising that they'd been solving this problem, and we didn't look under the hood until after we'd done our first raise, was that there really is just a systemic, and we found out that it was basically a fundamental roadblock to all of the blockchains really scaling at the level we needed to be able to bring this application to market. And I think that's where, as we looked at it, we thought, well, okay, we could wait for them, and we looked at a bunch of the projects, and we looked at where their roadmap was going, and we couldn't see them actually getting through the challenges that they were running into with serialization and really get it to go fully parallel. And that's when we came up with what you discussed, the extensible blockchain object model, which is just means that we've got a operating system that runs on the blockchain, and it is a system one object model, like what Steve Jobs used to write Next, and now is an OS 10 in your watch, and was the fundamentals that IBM had on OS 2, all the technology that's been highly proven to be the approach that will most be able to be stable and secure. And now we put it onto the blockchain.
You know, in 2016, when Ethereum blockchain has launched, it's the first mainnet, each and every corporate, I'm talking about application makers, developers, companies like IBM, like Microsoft, get so inspired that they say, wow, something new happening in the world, new kind of decentralized machine come up and looks like new kind of operation system. EOS talked, I'm talking about Daniel Larimer. Yes, he has talked about so many times, and all the people, is the huge ICO even happen? $4 point in some way, somehow, $1 billion just gained from the market for developing that. But unfortunately, we don't see it launched, it's executed, or somehow. But we have that belief. We have that point that it could be or should be from someone had done. I will let you share your screen.
Yeah, well, and
it's going to happen.
And just to let you know, we were rooting for him. We wanted to see, there are hard things in blockchain that, we just say, oh yeah, we need to be decentralized. Well, there's a lot of things that can cause centralization of any system. And one of them is compute power and the ability to, as you look at like how miners have a lot of pull in governance, and we've looked at all of those aspects and tried to build an ecosystem. And we recognize that while we believe this is the leap forward, that it's only going to be by getting this into the hands of a large community that it's really going to find its full potential. We're not in a place where we believe that we're going to have all the solutions. That is the naivete of thinking centralized, is that, oh, now we're the project, right? Well, no, we want to create the ecosystem that helps to fulfill that vision and dream, but we don't really believe that there's any one group of people that's going to solve this. It's going to be a collaborative. It's going to be a network effect that happens around this technology. We just wanted to solve the issues that we saw that were holding back the potential of blockchain, and we've gone from being an application developer to actually a blockchain. The good thing is we've got the team that has the expertise to pull that off. So I'd love to just kind of jump in here if that works for you and kind of walk through that a little bit here.
Yeah, please share your screen. But
Yeah.
I want to mention that now Ethereum as blockchain becomes for wealth people, because now the transactions cost are so high that it's not for masses, really not for masses. And maybe it's because of the greed of the miners, because of the greed of the transaction validators, or because of the greed people also being inside too. But we have to see the way out of this situation. Let's go ahead. Yeah, share a screen, please.
I will. Let's just get to there, and then I still haven't figured out how to start my slideshow and share my screen. So here we go. So this is our journey beyond smart contracts, because that's really what we found was the fundamental challenge. And it is experienced team. The team that we're working with, as I mentioned, came out of in IoT, telecommunications, and our CTO actually, the reason that we're able to have the conversation we're having right now, has written over 60 of the protocols that make the internet work, including the network address translation, NAT, and the port address translation. So NAT and PAT were part of his development, but he's also done a lot of the high-speed protocols, over 60 of them, as I mentioned. And that actually gives him an understanding from an engineering level of how the internet actually works. And it's really important when you're looking at parallelization and being able to get these systems to be able to take advantage of the network capacity that's out there, to be able to have that kind of understanding. He's also an engineer who can develop chips. He writes in over 60 programming languages, has developed 2 languages himself. So he's one of those kind of brain trusts. And so when we did hit the roadblock of, the blockchain just isn't going to handle our application, we were able to move forward and find a solution for that. It took us, well, that was in 2018. We just now have gotten our technical white paper out this last fall. So it took us a bit of time to develop it. We actually did do some patent work in order to protect it, so that when we go open source it, nobody can say, no, you can't use that technology. So we've done a lot of that. And as I said, I obviously like talking about myself because there I am on the slide, but I came from a background in building a developer community of over 250,000 that was behind the first AAA game engine. And that's given me a great appreciation of what it takes to build an open source level community, and how that network effect is so important for the adoption of any new technology. So let me just walk through the project. Obviously we're trying to create an open and permissionless blockchain. We did our first proof of concept for this by taking the XBOM and putting it up on Hyperledger, for a couple of reasons. One, we needed to prove to ourselves before we made any claims to investors or to those that wanted to be stakeholders, that it was really important for us to show this is going to work. This operating system concept is going to function the way we say it's going to. And the other reason was, if we put it on Hyperledger, we knew that nobody could tokenize it easily, so we weren't going to lose that advantage by showing it off. Now we've got the ability for to move beyond smart contracts. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then we've built a token that actually is built on a digital GDP, which means that it'll be able over time to move from a deflationary to an inflationary token, and it'll be able to get past the challenge we see now, where almost every token is a speculative or store of value at some level. And we want this token to be used for commerce, and so it needs to be stabilized. It needs to have reasonable and consistent gas prices, and that's really the key for us. So that kind of gives you a little bit of what our intention was. Then we've looked at smart contracts, and as we built our own consensus and everything else, we got it all optimized. We saw how much throughput it could do, and we were realizing, wait, The real issue is that smart contracts themselves are not scalable. They are inherently serialized because you have to get one transaction and know the state of that transaction before you can do other transactions. So it even if you get really fast at processing them, in order to keep your account current, you have to get those transacted in such a way that you can. And that was a big problem for us. So the other problem is that they're very static. They don't allow for dynamic change. They get very calcified. They're not easy to create. You can't really share the code easily directly. And that's one of the things that I'll talk about in a minute as far as how we change. And then it's fairly expensive to develop for, and it's a slow time to market. We've gone to the next evolution. With the XBOM, we're actually storing state, not in a smart contract, but in your account on the blockchain. And what that allows us to do is move the account from shard to shard in order to get full parallelization and still keep everything accurate and concurrent. And that's a big difference because we're not referencing the transactions in a smart contract. We're actually doing it in real time. And then all of the code actually is running on the blockchain in this operating system itself. So we're using the power of the network computer to keep all of the code. That makes it easy to inherit that code and use to get your applications developed much faster because of the shared code opportunity. And then because we're running all of this as smart assets in your account, we can do much more complex full supply chains with which we're working on a demo to showcase that on the web. A whole bunch of projects that right now are running into real problems using smart contracts are now possible with our architecture. This is just one of those favorite diagrams, but especially for developers. You see where all the applications lay and what layer they're on. Then you see where the application developers work, but then they go to XBOM and work with our classes and objects. And that class management infrastructure talks to the blockchain and deals with the network operating system, the nodes. The key there is that we're going to be able to let you write in any language you want because we'll deal with the bytecode that talks to the blockchain. So we're not going to have to be in a specialized language. The other part that's really important there is that, as Casey Tam mentioned, developers don't care about the blockchain as it is handled by the infrastructure. So there is going to allow that to be abstracted. And while there may be applications where they have to think at a lower layer, most applications will just be able to write to our class manager infrastructure and not have to worry about how it's being managed on the blockchain. That really means that instead of having to get a very specialized developer that really can do the heavy lifting, you can work with a lot of application developers who work making iOS applications and web dev. So in current project work, as I mentioned, we're about to showcase an automotive supply chain that we built. That we're just now getting the fine tuning of the testing done. We were able to demonstrate it, but when you got a whole bunch of people on the web trying to hit it at the same time, we had to put some multi-threading in. So we're getting that finished off. We've been working with IBM and with Oracle, both of those, just looking at the potential of what XBOM would do for their blockchain ecosystem. One conversation, and we love to quote it, we were making sure that there wouldn't be any regulatory issues if people didn't understand that the only way to do blockchain wasn't through smart contracts. So we've been having discussions with the SEC and the EU and others just so that they understood our architecture, so we wouldn't get regulated out of being able to take advantage of the new regulatory problems. Anyways, once Hester Pierce was able to understand what we did, she said, "Oh, you're the TSA pre-check for the regulatory use of blockchain," which just means that because we had all the certifications running on the blockchain, that we could make sure that it was appropriate for somebody to make a transaction and happen, whether they were so that the criteria was met on both sides of the contract to be compliant. And so we were able to bring compliance and regulatory frameworks into transactions going on the blockchain. Pretty exciting for us to have that conversation. This is our roadmap. We've been working on it for a while. Probably the biggest thing we can see over the years, we've put a lot of energy into getting this to a place where we can tell everybody about it. And now we're moving forward to build out the foundation and get the mainnet, testnet, and then mainnet fully coded and launched. So there's a huge number of details on that part of the roadmap, but this kind of gives it to you at a high level. So that's I work a lot to help with collaboration and work with the different groups that are coming on board. Got a bunch of exciting announcements of teams that are going to be supporting us and projects that are coming on to our project. And then these are some of the ways you can interact with us that we're using. The xbomb.io is where we'll be able to showcase that automotive supply chain when you want to look at that. And that covers kind of the top level introduction to what we're doing.
Cool. Thank you. Let me turn off the presentation.
I was trying to find that myself.
Yeah, I would like to see. Yes, as administrator, I can do everything. Yes, in our online and in our TV show. Look. First, I would like to see and hear the next evolution of Prasaga because it's very interesting. It's very looking forward, and it's how I'd say it's the thing which should be done for the humanity because we are looking for the best something happen on this digital space because it's gonna be solved so many programming problems, so many interaction with each other, so many things which are already should be auditable and should be transparent. It's the beginning. It's the beginning for human interaction, for being somehow in digital space much more fair. But I would like to know when and who gonna create all this beautiful world. It's really and really, I know, well, things should be done in the very near end, and I personally can't wait when it's going to be happen because everyone wants when and maybe tomorrow or maybe today.
Yeah. Well, and I've just gotten off of calls that are very exciting. We're signing all the partnership work on it, but let's just say everything from near field satellites to how we can do the next evolution of telepresence and interaction like what we're doing now, but in next generation video game technology empowered. There's just a whole lot of things that need to happen, and I think that it's an ambitious goal, and that's why we look at it from a decentralized standpoint. The only way we're going to see the kind of adoption and success, one is it has to be the better tool, right? It has to actually work for people and do as we promised. That part is important, but the more important part is to empower the developers and innovators that are going to create in this ecosystem. And so we're looking at it from two perspectives. One, we want to look at regional technology hubs that are already, somewhat blockchain aware, but also have a lot of application environments that need to get to market. And we're going to come alongside of those and create regional labs in key parts of the world. From the Arabic world, we're looking at Dubai and Tel Aviv. For Europe, we're looking at starting in Switzerland, but also being in Eastern Europe as well. Then we've got relationships we're building from all through India as well as Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines. We're starting where places where we can work with nationals who are bilingual. Obviously, that's important just because we're still bringing in the team that will be multilingual on our side. And then obviously we'll move into China and Korea, Japan, etc. Although with the understanding that we want to empower the nationals in each of those countries to find their full potential. And that's what we're calling the collaborative. And in each of those regional spaces, we're looking at putting actual economic development hubs in that will allow for research labs to be sponsored by enterprise and be able to create these research solutions with the collaboration with universities. The one thing we've watched is that a lot of times that sort of work gets verticalized. So you've got healthcare over here, and you've got smart factories over there. They're not integrated. So we really want to bring all of those different smart city, especially, as well as enterprise groups into one space. And so it'll be fairly ambitious what we'll do there, but that'll allow for collaboration to happen. And that kind of gets, so the bottom up is to sponsor innovators in all parts of the world and get them the resources they need to get to the market and to get out. But the top down is to bring those enterprise people together with those innovators and help build some of these solutions so that we can get to market faster. We can know that there's an appetite. We can do what we call product market fit in the startup world much more efficiently. And I think that's an important piece for us, is to make sure that we're finding a way to get to the planet and engage in a way that we're not doing it with a profit motive. We're doing it with a way to help make a better life for everyone, and that's exciting to me. It keeps me up at night and it gets me up in the morning. That's for sure.
Cool. Really appreciate it. Now, it's not so easy to build this kind of really ambitious project, and we are on the finish line of today's interview with you. I'm sure and hope that this is not the last one. We have to have so many of them, maybe in your other team members, maybe with CEO or your community members too. But I have a question. Maybe you have, message to the viewers. What are you looking for, or maybe what kind of help do you expect from the humanity? Because it's decentralized world, and we would like to make it together happen.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their talents, everybody has their gifts, and to find a way to connect to us and become part of our community and see how we can work together, that may be as simple as being able to get to understand our technology well enough to be in our Discord channel and talk to other developers, or it could be something where you're actually bringing us a project that we can partner on. There's lots of different touch points for us. The key, though, is to recognize that we're not the ones trying to deliver a solution. We're trying to partner with key collaborators to create something new. And so it's going to be only by that happening together as we can join that's really going to have its full fruit. So look for, we're staffing up, we're taking on more token holders, we're getting more exposure, we're getting to make a lot of the announcements with partners. See how you might fit in that, and how even people you might know would be interested in participating with us. It's an open invitation, and we want to create that kind of collaboration.
And then I want to say you huge thanks, Jay, for your time, for your passion, for your sharing this interesting information with us, with our community. And I want to remind to all of us and all of you, ladies and gentlemen, this decentralized world is created not only for the group of people, it's created by us. And this is the place where we are going to share our ideas, share our views, and of course, going to be happen via this telecommunication and sharing vision to this innovation and future tech. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Jay. See you for sure next time. See you, all of you. I'm talking about our viewers. Of course, we have to, we have to continue this conversation and see when it's finally happened. Thanks a lot for your time, all of you. See you. Bye-bye.